The human colony world of New Sol was beautiful. Green hills rolled under a purple sky. 2 moons hung like pearls above the horizon. It was here that Jiwoo and her crew brought the freed dragons. It was here that everything changed. 6 months had passed since Jiwoo gave water to Velthora. 6 months of running from council forces. 6 months of freeing dragons from their prisons across the galaxy. 27 dragons had suffered in silence. Now all 27 were free, but freedom had come with a cost. 3 humans had died helping with the rescues. Dozens more were injured. The council had declared all dragons and their human allies to be enemies of galactic peace. Arrest warrants had been issued. Military fleets had been dispatched, yet something unexpected happened. The other species did not support the council. When people learned the truth about the dragons, when they saw the evidence of 800 years of torture, they were horrified. Protests erupted on thousands of worlds. Species that the dragons had once saved came forward with their own stories. The council's authority began to crumble. Jiwoo stood on a hill overlooking the dragon sanctuary they had built. Below her, freed dragons were learning to live again. Some were strong enough to fly now. Others still needed constant care. All of them needed water. So much water. The humans had built huge tanks and delivery systems. They brought water from lakes and rivers. They gave it freely and without hesitation. Velthora landed beside Jiwoo. The dragon's scales now shone with brilliant light. Her wings were healed. Her eyes were clear and bright. She looked like the guardian she had been centuries ago. Strong, proud, noble. The council has requested a meeting, Velthora said. They want to negotiate. After 6 months of trying to kill us, now they want to talk? They have no choice. Half the galaxy supports us now. Their military is refusing orders. Some species have threatened to leave the council entirely. They cannot win through force anymore. Jiwoo looked at the dragons below. Kale was teaching younger dragons how to sense energy patterns. Another dragon named Suri was helping human engineers design better water systems. Others were sharing their knowledge with scientists and historians. The dragons were doing what they had always done. They were helping. What do they want? Jiwoo asked. They want the dragons to disappear quietly. They will officially pardon us. They will admit that mistakes were made, but they want us to leave the civilized galaxy, go somewhere far away and never return. That's not fair. You did nothing wrong. Fairness is not the council's concern. They want to maintain their power. Dragons are a threat to that power. They will never truly accept us. Jiwoo felt anger burning inside her. The council had tortured these magnificent beings for centuries. Now they wanted the dragons to just go away like the whole thing never happened. No, that was not acceptable. What do you want? Jiwoo asked Velthora. What do the dragons want? Velthora was quiet for a long moment. We want to be guardians again. We want to protect the younger species. We want to serve the galaxy like we did before the council destroyed us. But we also want partnership. We do not want to be rulers or overlords. We want to work together with other species, especially humans. Why humans? Because you saw us when others looked away. Because you gave us water when we were dying of thirst. Because you risked everything to free us. Because humans understand something precious that the galaxy has forgotten. You understand that power should be used to protect, not to control. You understand compassion. Ships were landing near the sanctuary. Ambassadors from dozens of species had come to meet with the dragons and their human allies. Some came to offer support. Others came to ask for help. A few came to learn the truth directly from those who had suffered. Among the visitors was a young Marathi woman. Her skin was blue and her eyes were large and gentle. She approached Jiwoo and Velthora nervously. My name is Lyra, the woman said. My ancestors were on the Dawn of Hope, the colony ship that was destroyed 800 years ago. Velthora's body went rigid. I am sorry for what I did. I am sorry for the lives I took. I know my reasons do not bring back the dead. I did not come for an apology, Lyra said. She pulled out a data device. I came to show you this. My family kept records. Hidden records that the council tried to destroy. Medical files from the ship. My great-great-grandmother was a doctor. She documented the plague spreading through the passengers. She wrote about how the captain refused to stop. She wrote about how they were all going to die anyway. And she wrote about seeing a dragon appear outside the ship. She wrote that in her final moments she understood what you were doing. She forgave you. Velthora made a sound that was something between a sob and a roar. 800 years of guilt crashed over her. She had destroyed that ship knowing it was the right choice, but she had never stopped feeling the weight of those deaths. And now, hearing that someone aboard had understood, had forgiven her, the pain was almost too much to bear. Lyra stepped forward and placed her small hand on Velthara's scaled leg. You saved my species. The plague would have killed millions of Marathi. It would have spread to other worlds. You stopped it with one terrible choice. My family has always known this, and we have always been grateful. Jiwoo watched as other visitors came forward with similar stories. Species the dragons had saved. Worlds the dragons had protected. Evidence of centuries of service and sacrifice. The council had tried to erase these stories. They had tried to make everyone forget what the dragons had done. But the truth survived. The meeting with the council representatives happened 3 days later. It was held in a neutral location with observers from hundreds of species. The dragons came with their human allies. The council came with lawyers and soldiers. But the council's power was broken. Too many species now knew the truth. Too many people demanded change. The council members sat at their table looking tired and defeated. We are prepared to offer full pardons to all dragons, the lead council member said. We acknowledge that errors were made in the past. We are willing to provide compensation. That is not enough, Jiwoo said. She stood before the council without fear. You tortured innocent beings for centuries. You hid the truth. You abused your power. A pardon is not justice. Compensation is not accountability. What do you want, human child? I want the council reformed. I want dragons to be members with full voting rights. I want laws passed that prevent this from ever happening again. I want trials for those who designed the torture prisons. I want the galaxy to remember what happened so it cannot be forgotten or repeated. The council members looked at each other. Some were angry. Others were resigned. They knew they had no choice. The galaxy had changed. The old ways of ruling through fear and division were ending. And if we refuse? One council member asked. Velthara stood up. Behind her, all 27 freed dragons rose to their feet. Their scales glowed with power. Their eyes blazed with determination. Then we will build a new government, Velthara said calmly. We will form a coalition of species who believe in justice and compassion. We will create a galaxy where the powerful protect the weak instead of exploiting them. The council can join us in this new future, for the council can fade into history as a warning of what happens when power corrupts absolutely. The negotiations lasted for weeks. In the end, the council agreed to most of the demands. Dragons became members of a reformed galactic government. Laws were passed protecting the rights of all beings. Truth commissions were established to investigate past crimes. It was not perfect. Many guilty parties escaped justice. Many wounds would take generations to heal. But it was a start. Jiwoo sat with Velthara on their hill overlooking the sanctuary. The dragons below were thriving now. They had water. They had freedom. They had purpose again. Many were already working as guardians, protecting younger species from various threats. But now they worked in partnership with others, especially humans. You changed everything, Velthara said. One act of kindness. One container of water, and the entire galaxy shifted. I just gave you a drink, Jiwoo said. Anyone would have done the same. No, Velthara said gently. Thousands of beings passed my prison over 800 years. Not one stopped. Not one asked if I needed help. Not one brought me water. Only you, only a human. That is why my kind has chosen to bond with humanity. That is why we will stand with your species for as long as we exist. You showed us that compassion still lives in this galaxy, and that is worth more than all the power the council ever had. Jiwoo looked at the sunset. The sky was turning orange and pink. In the valley below, humans and dragons worked together building a future. Other species were arriving every day, wanting to join the new alliance. The galaxy was becoming what it should have been all along. A place where different beings helped each other. A place where kindness mattered more than power. I need to tell you something, Velthara said. The dragons have decided to name you something in our language. A title of honor. We call you First Friend. The first being in 800 years who saw us as people worth saving. The one who reminded us that goodness exists. The human who gave water to a dying dragon and changed the galaxy forever. Jiwoo felt tears on her cheeks. She leaned against Velthara's warm scales. I'm just glad you're alive. I'm glad you're free. The escape from the station was chaos. Velthara used what little strength she had recovered to shield the humans from council weapons. Energy bolts splashed against invisible barriers around them as they ran through the corridors. The dragon moved slowly, her body still weak from centuries without proper water, but her determination was fierce. "The ship is this way," Tae Yang shouted. He led them through the maze of hallways. Behind them, council soldiers were closing in. Ahead, more soldiers were trying to cut them off. Ye Jin had the salvage ship's engines already running. The boarding ramp was down and waiting. But between the group and safety stood 20 armed council guards. They had heavy weapons pointed at the corridor. "Surrender now," the guard captain commanded. "There is no escape. You are all under arrest for crimes against the Galactic Council." Velthara pushed past the humans. She stood at the front of the group, facing the guards. Her damaged wings spread wide, making her look larger than she was. Light flickered across her scales as energy built inside her. "I have been imprisoned for 800 years, Velthara said. Her voice was cold and hard. "I have suffered tortures you cannot imagine. I have endured while watching the galaxy forget what honor means. And now, when someone finally shows me a moment of kindness, you want to take that away from me. You want to punish these humans for having compassion. No, I will not allow it." The guards looked nervous. They knew what dragons were capable of. They knew the stories of how powerful these creatures had once been. Even weakened, Velthara was dangerous. "Don't make this worse," the guard captain said. "We have orders to bring you back to your prison. And we have orders to arrest the humans. Those orders will be carried out." "Then you will have to kill me," Velthara replied simply. "Because I will not go back to that cage. I will not spend another day dying of thirst while you pretend it is justice. I will die free or I will die fighting. Those are the only choices I accept." Jiwoo stepped forward and placed her hand on Velthara's scaled leg. The dragon looked down at her. "Please don't die," Jiwoo said softly. "I just saved you. I'm not ready to lose you yet." Something in Velthara's expression softened. She looked at this young human who had given her water. This girl who had risked everything for a stranger. This person who represented what the galaxy used to be before fear and politics corrupted everything. "Then we run," Velthara decided. "Everyone behind me now." The dragon released a blast of energy that was not aimed to kill but to blind and scatter. The guards screamed and dove for cover. In that moment of confusion, Velthara charged forward. The humans ran behind her, protected by her body and her power. They reached the ship and scrambled up the ramp. Haijin had the engines at maximum power. The moment everyone was aboard, the ship lurched forward and broke away from the station. Council vessels immediately gave chase. 3 military ships pursuing us, Haijin reported from the pilot seat. "They're faster than we are." "I can't outrun them. Can you fight them?" Taeyang asked. "This is a salvage ship. We have 1 small defense cannon. They have enough weapons to destroy a small moon. So no, I can't fight them." Velthara moved to the ship's observation window. She could feel the council vessels getting closer. She could sense their weapons charging. She could feel the hatred and fear radiating from the crews. They would destroy this ship. They would kill the humans, and they would capture her again, unless she did something impossible. "I can sense others," Velthara said quietly. "Other dragons, imprisoned across the galaxy just like I was. Dozens of my kind, all suffering, all tortured, all kept barely alive. The council scattered our prisons to keep us weak and isolated." "How far away are they?" Jiwoo asked. "Some are light years away. Some are in nearby systems. There is one prison not far from here. 2 days' journey. A dragon named Kale. He was imprisoned for refusing to let a council member abuse his authority over a weaker species. His crime was standing up to corruption." "Can you contact him?" Jiwoo asked. "Can you tell him what happened?" "I can try. But he is weak like I was. He may not have the strength to respond." Velthara closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. Her telepathy stretched across space, searching for another consciousness like hers. The effort made her body shake. She was still so weak. The water Jiwoo had given her was barely enough to begin her recovery. Then she felt it. A flicker of awareness. An ancient mind locked in suffering. Kale felt her call and responded with shock and desperate hope. "Sister." Kale's mental voice was barely a whisper. "You are awake. You are alive. How?" "A human gave me water," Velthara replied. "A child who saw my suffering and chose to help despite the consequences." "The truth is spreading, Kale. The galaxy is learning what the council did to us. Humans." Kale's voice held wonder. "I remember humans. They are new to the stars. Young and foolish and brave. They have not learned to fear the council yet. Will you help us? Velthara asked. The council is hunting us. They want to imprison me again. They want to kill the humans who freed me. I am weak, sister. So weak. I have not had water for 900 years. I can barely think clearly. Then we will bring you water. We will free you as they freed me, and together we will be stronger. There was a long pause. Then Kyle's voice came back with new determination. I will help. I may not have much strength left, but I will use what I have. For the humans who show mercy, for the hope of freedom. Tell me what to do. The council ships were almost in firing range now. Their weapons were powered up and ready. But Velthara was smiling. It was a terrifying expression on a dragon's face. Kyle is going to cause a distraction, Velthara told the humans. His prison station has a power core. He is going to overload it. Won't that kill him? Jiwoo asked in horror. The explosion will destroy his prison walls. In that moment, he will be free. He will use the energy from the explosion to attack the council ships near his station. It will draw attention away from us, but then what? He'll die anyway if we don't get him water. Then we go to him, Velthara said firmly. We run from these ships. We reach Kyle, we give him water, and we bring him with us. The council wanted to keep dragons isolated. They wanted us to suffer alone. But they made a mistake. They let a human find me, and humans do not understand the concept of abandoning those who need help. Taeyang and Hyejin looked at each other. This was insane. They were already fugitives from the most powerful government in the galaxy. Now they were going to free another prisoner? Why not? Taeyang said with a tired laugh. We're already doomed. Might as well be doomed for doing something good. Space lit up with a distant explosion. Kyle had destroyed his prison. The council ships pursuing them suddenly received urgent calls from their headquarters. One of them immediately broke off to investigate the explosion. The other two continued following the salvage ship, but they were being more cautious now. Heejin changed course toward Kale's location. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. Behind them, the council vessels gave chase, but ahead there was hope. Tell me about the other dragons, Jiwoo said to Velthara. How many are there? Where are they? Velthara shared what she knew. 27 dragons remained imprisoned. Each had been captured for similar reasons. They had all tried to protect other species. They had all been punished for doing what was right. They had all suffered for centuries while the galaxy forgot about them. We'll free them all, Jiwoo said. It was not a question. It was a promise. That would start a war, Velthara warned. The council will not allow it. Let them try to stop us. The truth is already spreading. People know what the council did. Other species will help us. I know they will. Velthara looked at this human child with wonder. She had been imprisoned for 800 years. She had lost hope long ago. She had forgotten what courage looked like. But here was Jiwoo, barely an adult, declaring war against the most powerful government in the galaxy without fear or hesitation. Why? Velthara asked. Why do you care so much? You just learned about dragons today. We are nothing to you. Why risk everything? Jiwoo met the dragon's ancient eyes. Because you asked me for water. Because you were dying of thirst. Because helping people who need help is what makes us human. We don't need a reason beyond that. The ship raced through space toward Kale's location. Behind them, council forces were gathering. Ahead, an ancient dragon waited for rescue. And across the galaxy, billions of people were learning the truth about what their government had done. Everything was about to change. And it all started because one human girl decided that giving water to someone who was thirsty was more important than following unjust laws. Velthara closed her eyes and sent a message to all the imprisoned dragons she could reach. Hold on, help is coming. A human is coming to bring you water. The first drop of water touched Velthara's tongue and the dragon screamed. The sound was not verbal. It crashed through Jiwoo's mind like a wave of pure agony. 800 years of thirst had made her body forget what water was. Every cell had adapted to survive without it. Now suddenly feeling moisture again, her nervous system went wild with pain. Jiwoo almost dropped the container. Tears ran down her face as she felt echoes of the dragon's suffering, but she did not stop. She kept pouring water carefully into Velthara's mouth. I'm sorry, Jiwoo said. I'm so sorry it hurts. But your body needs this. Please trust me. Velthara's mental voice was a storm of sensation. Pain and relief mixed together. Agony and joy fought for control. The dragon wanted to pull away from the water, but she also wanted more. She had dreamed of this moment for centuries. Behind them, Krikstal was screaming into his communication device. Security! Security to the prison chamber! The humans are freeing the prisoner! Stop them immediately! Tai Yang stood at the door with his weapon drawn. He was not a violent man, but he would protect his sister. Hai Jin's voice came through his radio. I'm sealing all the doors between you and the council soldiers. That will buy you maybe 10 minutes. Make them count. Ji-Woo ignored the chaos around her. She focused on Velthara. The dragon's scales were changing. Slowly, color began to return to them. The cracks started to heal. But the process was painful. Velthara's body was remembering how to live properly, and the memory hurt. Tell me about your home, Ji-Woo said softly. She kept pouring water in small amounts. Tell me about your world. Let me see it. Velthara latched onto the distraction. Her mental voice steadied as she shared memories. Ji-Woo saw visions of a world covered in crystals, mountains that sang with energy, skies filled with dragons flying in beautiful formations. She saw Velthara as a young dragon, learning to fly from her mother. She saw dragon cities where guardians studied the cosmos and watched over younger species. We were protectors, Velthara's voice whispered in Ji-Woo's mind. For 10,000 years, my kind served the galaxy. We stopped asteroids from destroying worlds. We detected plagues before they spread. We negotiated peace between species who could not understand each other. We asked for nothing in return. We simply did what was right. What happened? Ji-Woo asked. The water container was half empty now. Velthara's breathing was becoming stronger. The council grew afraid of us. We were connecting younger species. We were teaching them to work together. The council had ruled through division. They kept species separate and suspicious of each other. That made the council necessary. That gave them power. But if species united, if they worked together, they would not need the council anymore. So the council decided we had to go. Ji-Woo saw more memories. Council members visiting the dragon homeworld, smiling and making promises of friendship. Then later, accusations. Dragons were called dangerous, too powerful, too independent. Laws were passed restricting their movements. Then laws prohibiting them from protecting other species. Finally, traps were set. Impossible situations designed to make dragons break the new laws, Velthara. A different voice spoke. This one was not telepathic. It came from across the chamber. Ji-Woo turned and saw that Krikstal had stopped shouting. He was watching the dragon with a strange expression. You should have stayed silent. You should have let the colony ship reach its destination. Yes, the plague would have spread. Yes, millions would have died. But the council would have contained it eventually. Your intervention was not necessary. Millions of innocent lives, Velthara said. Her voice was stronger now. She could speak out loud again, though her words came slow and rough. You would have let millions die just to avoid admitting you were wrong about the quarantine. We would have saved some of them. Enough to matter. Which ones? Ji-Woo demanded. She stood up and faced the council official. Which millions would you have chosen to save? How do you decide which children get to live and which ones die screaming from plague sickness? Krikstal had no answer for that. His wings buzzed in agitation. This is bigger than one ship. This is about galactic order. This is about the structure that keeps thousands of species from destroying each other. No, Ji-Woo said. This is about pride. This is about powerful people refusing to admit mistakes. You let Velthara suffer for 800 years because saying sorry was too hard for you. The sound of explosions echoed through the station. The council soldiers were breaking through Hai Jin's barriers. They would reach the chamber in minutes. Taeyang checked his weapon and prepared for a fight he could not win. Ji-Woo poured the last of her water into Velthara's mouth. The dragon swallowed it gratefully. Her scales now shone with soft light. Her eyes were clear and bright. She was still weak from centuries of torture, but she was alive in a way she had not been for so long. Velthara stood up. Her legs shook, but they held her weight. Her wings unfolded, still torn and damaged, but responding to her will. She looked down at Ji-Woo with eyes full of gratitude and love. You gave me water, Velthara said. Such a simple thing. Such a basic need. But you gave it to me when no one else would. For 800 years, thousands of ships passed this station. Hundreds of species knew I was here. Many were species I had saved personally. Not one stopped to help me. Not one brought me water. They all feared the council too much. But you, a human child who did not even know me, you gave me your own water supply. Why? Ji-Woo wiped tears from her face. Because you were dying of thirst. Because no living being should suffer like that. Because it was the right thing to do. So simple. Belthara said. She looked at Crixtall. Do you hear that, council member? She helped me because it was right, not because it was profitable, not because it gave her power, not because it served some political goal. She helped me because I needed help. Humans understand something the rest of the galaxy has forgotten. They understand compassion. The door exploded inward. Council soldiers poured into the chamber. They wore heavy armor and carried energy weapons. There were dozens of them. Tai Yang raised his hands in surrender. There was no point in fighting, but Belthara stepped in front of the humans. Despite her weakness, despite her damaged body, she placed herself between them and danger. Energy crackled around her scales. The soldiers stopped and stared in fear. You will not harm them, Belthara said. Her voice echoed through the chamber with ancient power. These humans showed me mercy when the galaxy showed me none. They gave me water when you gave me only suffering. I am weak, yes, but I am not helpless. And I will die before I let you hurt them. Crixtall buzzed nervously. Stand down, soldiers. Everyone stay calm. Belthara, be reasonable. You cannot fight all of us. You can barely stand. Perhaps, Belthara agreed. But I can destroy this station. And your ships are too close. They will be caught in the explosion. Is this human child's crime worth all those lives? A standoff filled the chamber with tension. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Jiwoo could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. Then Hyojin's voice crackled through the radio. Jiwoo, I'm sending you something. Check your data pad. Jiwoo pulled out her pad. A message was loading. Then another. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Hyojin had sent all the evidence Jiwoo found. All the hidden files about Belthara's crime. All the proof of the Council's lies. And Hyojin had not just sent it to Jiwoo. She had sent it to every independent news network in the galaxy. It's done, Hyojin said calmly. The truth is spreading. In 10 minutes, every species will know what the Council did. You can kill us, Crixtall, but you can't hide the truth anymore. Crixtall's wings stopped buzzing. He stared at his own communication device as messages poured in. Emergency calls from Council headquarters. Panic from Council members across the galaxy. The secret was out. The lie was exposed. You have doomed yourselves, Crixtall said quietly. The Council will never forgive this. Maybe, Taeyang said. He stood beside his sister and the dragon. But at least we'll face consequences for doing something right. That's better than staying safe while doing something wrong. Belthara looked down at Jiwoo. The dragon's expression was difficult to read, but Jiwoo felt warmth and pride flowing from her mind. Thank you, Belthara whispered. Thank you for the water. Thank you for the truth. Thank you for showing me that goodness still exists in this galaxy. Jiwoo sat in the salvage ship's small library, surrounded by glowing screens. She had been searching the galactic database for hours. Tai Yang had reluctantly agreed to stay at the station for one more day while she investigated. But he made it clear they would leave tomorrow whether she found answers or not. The dragon's name was Belthara. Jiwoo had learned that much from the prison records. The files about her crime were heavily restricted, but Jiwoo was good with computers. She found ways around the security. What she read made her feel sick. 800 years ago, a colony ship called the Dawn of Hope had been traveling through space. It carried 10,000 people from a species called the Marathi. They were blue-skinned humanoids with gentle faces and peaceful ways. The ship was heading to a new world where they could build their future. Belthara had destroyed the ship. She had torn it apart with energy blasts. All 10,000 souls died in seconds. Not one survived. The Galactic Council caught Belthara 3 days later. They did not give her a trial. They did not let her speak. They simply declared her guilty of mass murder and imprisoned her. The Council designed the prison specifically to torture her. They knew her species needed water. They made sure she would never have it. Jiwoo felt confused and angry. The dragon had seemed so sad, so honest. But the evidence was clear. Belthara had killed thousands of innocent people. Maybe she deserves her punishment, Hyojin said. The engineer had come to check on Jiwoo. Maybe some crimes are too terrible to forgive. Maybe, Jiwoo said. But something feels wrong. Why didn't they give her a trial? Why didn't they let her explain? Perhaps there was nothing to explain. Perhaps she's simply a monster. Jiwoo continued searching. Deep in the old files, she found something strange. There were reports from other ships in the area when the Dawn of Hope was destroyed. 3 different captains had reported unusual readings from the colony ship. energy signatures that didn't match normal ship operations. But these reports were marked as irrelevant to the case. Jiwoo dug deeper. She found medical records that had been sealed and hidden. The records were from a station the Dawn of Hope had visited 2 weeks before its destruction. 50 Marathi from the ship had come to the station's hospital. They were sick with something the doctors couldn't identify. The illness was spreading fast. It made people violent and insane. The doctors quarantined the ship, but the Marathi captain refused to stay. He powered up the engines and left the station against medical advice. Oh no, Jiwoo whispered. She understood now. The Dawn of Hope wasn't just a colony ship. It was a plague ship. The sickness was spreading through the passengers. In 2 weeks it would have reached the colony world. Thousands more would have died. Maybe millions. Maybe the plague would have spread across multiple worlds. Velthara had stopped it. She had destroyed one ship to save countless others. Jiwoo ran back to the prison chamber. She found Velthara exactly where she had left her. The dragon looked weaker now. Her scales were losing their last bits of color. I know the truth, Jiwoo said. I know about the plague. You saved the galaxy. Velthara's eyes opened slowly. You believe me? I found the medical records. I found everything they tried to hide. You were trying to help. Yes. The dragon's mental voice was barely a whisper. My species were guardians. We protected younger races from cosmic threats. We saw the plague readings from space. I tried to warn the council. I begged them to quarantine the ship. They did not listen. They said I was imagining danger where none existed. So I did what I had to do. I destroyed the ship before it could spread the sickness. Why didn't you tell them? Why didn't you make them understand? I tried. They would not listen. The council had been looking for reasons to eliminate my kind. We were powerful. We could unite the younger species. The council saw us as a threat to their control. My actions gave them the excuse they needed. They declared me guilty. They imprisoned me without trial. And they made my torture a warning to the last of my kind. Stay silent, stay weak, or suffer as I have suffered. Jiwoo felt rage burning in her chest. The council had known the truth. They had hidden it. They had let Velthara suffer for 800 years rather than admit their mistake. Are there others? Jiwoo asked. Other dragons imprisoned like you? Yes, I can feel them across the stars. Dozens of my kind, all imprisoned, all tortured, all suffering. The council eliminated us one by one. They gave each of us impossible choices. Save others and be called murderers, or stay silent and watch innocents die. We chose to save lives, and we paid the price. The sound of ships approaching interrupted their conversation. Jiwoo ran to the window and saw 3 council vessels entering the area. They were military ships, large and well-armed. Heejin's voice crackled over the radio. Jiwoo, we have a problem. The council knows we're here. They're sending a representative to make us leave. Within an hour, a council official stood in the prison chamber. He was an insect-like creature named Krixtal. His multiple eyes looked at Jiwoo with cold calculation. You have seen what you should not have seen, Krixtal said. His voice clicked and buzzed. This creature is a dangerous criminal. You must leave now and forget what you found here. This creature has a name, Jiwoo said. Her name is Velthara, and she's not a criminal. She's a hero who saved millions of lives. That is not the official record. The official record is a lie. Krixtal's wings buzzed with agitation. You do not understand galactic politics, human child. Some truths are too dangerous to reveal. The council made decisions for the good of all species. We cannot admit mistakes. It would destroy the foundation of galactic law. So you'll let her suffer forever to protect your reputation? Yes, and you will say nothing about what you found here. If you speak of this, your species will face consequences. Humans are new to the galactic community. You are weak and few. Do not make enemies of the council. Taeyang had entered the chamber during this conversation. He looked torn between fear and anger. Is this true? Did the council knowingly imprison an innocent being? Innocent is a strong word, Krixtal replied. She destroyed a ship. People died. The reason does not matter to the dead. The reason matters to everyone they would have infected. Jiwoo shot back. The reason matters to the millions who would have died from the plague. This conversation is over. You will leave this station. You will forget what you saw. That is an order from the Galactic Council. Jiwoo looked at Velthara. The dragon was watching her with those ancient, tired eyes. 800 years of suffering showed in that gaze. 800 years of torture for doing the right thing. Jiwoo made her choice. She walked to her equipment bag and pulled out her water container. It held 3 liters. It was supposed to last her 2 more days. What are you doing? Crixtel demanded. Something I should have done the moment I found her, Jiwoo said. She approached the glowing barrier. How do I open this cage? You cannot. Only council codes can open it. And I will not give them to you, Jiwoo smiled. She pulled out a small device Haijin had given her. I'm human. We're very good at breaking things we're not supposed to break. She pressed the device against the barrier. It hummed and sparked. The crystalline wall flickered. Stop, Crixtel shouted. You are violating council law. This is an act of war against the galactic government. Then let it be war, Taeyang said quietly. He stood beside his sister. I won't let the council torture innocent beings. Not in my galaxy. The barrier shattered. Jiwoo stepped through with her water container. She walked to Velthara and knelt beside the dragon's massive head. I'm sorry this took so long, Jiwoo whispered. But I'm here now, and I'm going to help you. She opened the water container and held it to Velthara's cracked lips. The dragon's eyes went wide with desperate hope and ancient fear. The old space station floated in the darkness like a forgotten tomb. No ships had visited this place for 800 years. The Galactic Council had marked it as forbidden territory. Every species in the galaxy knew to stay away from it. But humans were new to the galactic community, and they did not fear old warnings the way other species did. Jiwoo pressed her face against the viewing window of the salvage ship. She was 19 years old, and this was only her 3rd mission into deep space. Her older brother Taeyang was the captain of their small crew. He had finally received permission from the council to explore the abandoned station. Nobody knew what treasures might be waiting inside after so many centuries. Stay close to the group, Taeyang told his sister as they prepared to board the station. This place has been sealed for a very long time. We don't know what we'll find in there. Jiwoo nodded and checked her equipment. Heejin, their engineer, was already working on the outer door. The woman was 10 years older than Jiwoo and had seen many strange things in space. She did not seem excited or nervous. She just did her job with calm focus. The door opened with a screech of old metal. Air rushed out of the station carrying the smell of dust and age. The 3 humans stepped inside with their lights cutting through the darkness. The station was huge inside. Hallways stretched in every direction like the branches of a dead tree. They walked through empty rooms and found nothing valuable. Old equipment lay broken on the floors. Computer screens were dark and dead. Jiwoo started to feel disappointed. Maybe there was nothing here worth finding. Then she heard it. A sound so soft she almost missed it. A whisper that seemed to come from deep inside the station. It sounded like wind, but there was no air moving. It sounded like a voice, but no words were clear. Did you hear that? Jiwoo asked her brother. Taeyang stopped and listened. Hear what? That sound. Like someone calling. Yijin shook her head. I don't hear anything. These old stations make strange noises. The metal expands and contracts, but Jiwoo could not ignore it. The sound pulled at something inside her chest. It felt like sadness, like loneliness, like desperate hope. She had to find where it came from. I'm going to check down this hallway, she said, pointing to a corridor that led away from the main path. No, Taeyang said firmly. We stay together. That's the first rule of salvage work. I'll just look quickly. I'll keep my radio on. Before her brother could argue more, Jiwoo walked into the dark hallway. Her light bounced off the walls as she moved deeper into the station. The sound grew stronger. It was definitely a voice now. A voice filled with pain and desperate need. The hallway ended at a massive door. It was different from all the other doors she had seen. This one was made of some kind of crystal material that glowed faintly with blue light. Strange symbols covered its surface. Jiwoo touched the door and felt warmth under her gloved hand. The door responded to her touch. It slid open slowly, revealing a chamber beyond. Jiwoo stepped inside and her breath caught in her throat. The chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched up so high her light could not reach it. In the center of the room was a cage made of the same glowing crystal as the door. And inside that cage was a creature from nightmares and legends. It looked like a dragon. Its body was as long as a transport ship. Scales covered its skin, but they were cracked and dull like broken pottery. Wings lay folded against its sides, torn and withered. The creature's head was the size of a cargo container. Its eyes were closed and its chest barely moved with breath. Jiwoo should have been terrified. Every instinct told her to run. But she did not run. Instead, she felt overwhelming sadness. This magnificent creature was dying. As if sensing her presence, the dragon's eyes opened. They were pale and dim, like stars about to go out. The creature looked at Jiwoo and something passed between them. A connection. An understanding. The dragon moved. Its movement was slow and painful. It dragged itself across the floor of its prison until it reached the barrier closest to Jiwoo. One massive claw reached out and touched the glowing wall. Then Jiwoo heard the voice clearly. It spoke directly into her mind. "Water," the voice whispered. "Please, water." Jiwoo looked around the chamber. She saw cables and tubes connected to the cage. They glowed with energy. The station was feeding power to the creature, keeping it alive. But she saw no water systems. No pipes, no tanks. Nothing that would give the creature something to drink. "How long?" Jiwoo asked out loud. "How long have you been here without water?" "Centuries," the dragon replied. Its mental voice was weak and broken. 800 years. Alive but dying. Conscious but fading. They feed me energy to keep my body working. But my species needs water. Without water, we cannot process the energy. Without water, we suffer. I have suffered for so long. Jiwoo felt tears on her face. What kind of monsters would do this? What crime could deserve such terrible punishment? "Why?" she asked. "Why are you here?" The dragon's eyes closed again. "I tried to save them. Tried to protect them. They called it murder. They called it destruction. They did not listen to the truth. They put me here to suffer forever." Jiwoo heard her brother calling on the radio. She heard Hyejin shouting warnings. They had found her location and were running toward the chamber. But Jiwoo did not move. She stepped closer to the barrier and placed her hand where the dragon's claw touched from the other side. "I will help you," Jiwoo promised. "I don't know how yet, but I will help you. Nobody deserves this. Nobody should suffer like this." The dragon opened its eyes again. For the first time in 800 years, something like hope flickered in those ancient eyes. A sound came from the creature. Jiwoo realized it was crying, but no tears fell. The dragon had no water left in its body for tears. Taeyang and Hyejin burst into the chamber. They stopped and stared at the imprisoned creature. Their faces showed fear and shock. "Jiwoo, get away from that thing," Taeyang commanded. "No," Jiwoo said quietly. She kept her hand on the barrier. "This is why the station was forbidden. This is the secret they didn't want anyone to find. They've been torturing this creature for 800 years. Hyejin scanned the chamber with her equipment. Her face went pale. "The energy readings are incredible. This creature is powerful. Very powerful. But the life signs are weak. It's dying. It's dying of thirst," Jiwoo said. "They gave it energy to keep it alive, but no water. It's been suffering all this time." Taeyang looked at the dragon, then at his sister, then back at the dragon. "Even if that's true, we can't help it. The council put it here. There must be a reason." "Maybe," Jiwoo said. "Or maybe they made a mistake. Either way, I'm not leaving until I know the truth." The dragon watched them with fading hope. Its mental voice touched Jiwoo's mind one more time. "Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for not turning away. Even if you cannot help, thank you for treating me like a living being instead of a monster." Jiwoo squeezed her eyes shut. She made a decision in that moment that would change everything. She would give this creature water. She would learn the truth. And she would make sure the galaxy knew what had been done here, no matter what it cost her.